The rain outside New York's glass towers fell in thin silver threads, washing the city in a restless shimmer. Inside a high-rise office where deadlines ruled the air, Carter stared at the model of a new urban project. Spread across his desk, 32 years old, lead architect for a Manhattan firm, and already known for his sharp ideas and sleepless nights. His phone buzzed. "Evan, the Vancouver team is joining in." 10, his assistant said. He nodded, tugging the cuff of his shirt, eyes still on the design. The collaboration was crucial, a North American campaign linking architecture, marketing, and culture for a major lifestyle brand. He had no idea that the woman, leading the Canadian side, would soon rewrite every pattern in his life. Sophie Laurier adjusted her webcam and exhaled. The Pacific light filled her apartment, painting the space with soft gold. At 29, she had built a career as a marketing consultant who believed stories sold better than strategies. Her job was to give emotion to the structures people lived and worked in. Her cat jumped onto the desk as the meeting loaded. Safa brushed it away and smiled, eyes steady but curious. Then the call began, grids of faces, corporate greetings, a blur of titles and time zones. But one square stood out. "Hi, I'm Evan Carter, architect in charge of the New York team," said the man with ocean gray eyes and a tired voice that carried calm authority. Sophie nodded, returning the greeting. "Sophie Laurier, communications lead, Vancouver side." Their eyes met through pixels, brief, electric, real. The meeting was supposed to last 30 minutes. It stretched past an hour, then 2. Offie asked questions that made Evan think deeper. Evan explained things in ways that made Sophie listen longer. "Your city bleeds character," he told when discussing Vancouver's design approach. "So does yours," she replied, "but maybe too much steel and not enough soul." That made him laugh. A real laugh he hadn't heard from himself in months. When the call ended, both found themselves staring at the blank screens longer than necessary. Begun, subtle, unexpected, impossible to label. 2 weeks later, emails turned into late-night messages. "Still awake," she'd type. "Deadlines don't sleep," he'd answer. "You should," she'd say. "You first." Across 3 time zones, their conversations became their own kind of refuge. They spoke about architecture and art, yes, but also about silence. How cities could be loud yet lonely. How success could feel like standing on glass with no one beside you. Sophie admitted she'd ended a long-year relationship 6 months ago. He told her about his parents' divorce and how it made him chase perfection at work. The more they shared, the more they saw themselves in each other's gaps. One Friday night, Evan stayed late at the office, watching rain collect on the window. A notification blinked. A video call from Sophie. "Are you working again?" she asked, smiling with a mug of tea in her hand. He turned his camera toward the scale model. Sophie leaned closer to the screen. "You made it feel alive," she whispered, like a heartbeat trapped in concrete. Evan looked at her, her hair loose, eyes thoughtful. "You see things most people don't." "Maybe that's my job," she replied softly. "Or maybe I just pay attention." Silence lingered, the good kind, filled with warmth that words couldn't reach. The business trip when the joint teams finally scheduled a physical workshop in Seattle. Halfway between their cities, both signed up instantly. On the morning of the conference, Evan arrived early, adjusting his tie, nervous for reasons that had nothing to do with business. Then she walked in. Sophie looked like every quiet thought he'd ever had, simple, elegant, impossible to ignore. "Hi," she said, breathless but confident. "Hi," he replied, forgetting his practiced calm. The handshake lingered a second too long. Throughout the day, their teams discussed projects, budgets, and designs, but underneath the talk, an invisible line tied them closer. During lunch, they found themselves outside, escaping the crowd. Seattle's sky was gray and vast. "Feels strange seeing you in 3D, she said, half laughing. "Better or worse?" "Dangerously better." That night, they walked along the waterfront, talking about everything. Cities, childhood, fears, music. When Sophie shivered from the wind, he offered his jacket. She refused at first, then gave in, slipping it on like it belonged there. "I don't usually mix work with feelings," she said quietly. "Neither do I," he replied. "So what is this?" "I don't know, but it feels real." The first touch, they didn't kiss that night. They stood close, barely breathing, each afraid that moving would break the spell. Back in their hotel rooms, neither slept. Sophie watched the city lights flicker on her ceiling. Evan stood at the window, heart racing with thoughts he couldn't design a blueprint for. Me too. That moment felt like the world stopped trying to make sense. The return When they went back to their cities, everything seemed louder, emptier. Work resumed, deadlines pressed on, but their connection became a quiet constant. Sophie's voice became Evan's anchor through stressful nights. Evan's steadiness became Sophie's safety. When clients pushed too hard, they started to plan another meeting, just them, no teams. Toronto, maybe.